Welcome to another WorkWell Command Center video tutorial. I'm Bob, I'm from WorkWell Software, and today I'll be presenting an invoicing tutorial to help you to get familiar with the WorkWell Command Center. Thanks for joining us. Invoices are associated directly with jobs. You create the invoice from an associated job using the job form or the job table. Invoices are optional. A job is not required to have an invoice. You don't actually do anything to create an invoice. They're automatically created. What you do is you simply identify within the job that it is being invoiced. Let's see an example. We'll open up the job form for this job right here. The job form pops up. We have this payment panel. This is where we control whether we're going to invoice or not. Invoicing has been selected. If we were not invoicing this, we would select direct. This indicates that we're receiving a check or cash directly from the customer after doing the job. At that point, we click Pay to indicate that it's been paid. And we can optionally choose a payment method, check, cash, credit card. So this job is being invoiced. We see that we can optionally enter a PO number, and we can open up the invoice. So we simply click on Open Invoice, and here's the invoice automatically created. I could have instead done this directly from the jobs table. So I go back to the jobs table and go to the invoice section of the job table. If you recall, the job table has a second page to it that shows invoice status. So in the same column, we see that we have this invoice. In the same row, we see that we have this invoiced column, and it's checked off. If it weren't checked off, we would not be invoicing. We can also view the invoice from the table. So if we go to the Options pull-down menu and select View Invoice, we're back to the invoice view. So the invoice is presented in either of two modes. The default is the Edit mode. This allows you to go in and change anything within the invoice. We can choose the Print mode, and this will present the invoice the way that it'll actually be delivered to your customer. If you print it, it'll appear like this. It'll also show up in the emails that you send looking like this. So you can, with the Print mode, you can print, save as a PDF. You can email either by sending it as an attachment or sending it as a link within the email. The information displayed in the invoice comes from a variety of places. We saw the job form. Some of it comes from here. Some of it comes from the line item table. We can see that within the job form. So the information describing the services that you've sold. Some of it comes from the company info form. So we can see the name of the company contact information, logo, the slogan, things like that come from the company information form. And finally, some of the information comes from the worker form. You can see down here the worker, in this case Scott, did this job, and the signature. They come from the worker form. And that's available from the staff table. So if we look at this employee, Scott, that's where the signature came from, and some of the other information. So all of this together is placed on the invoice as needed. As I said, within Edit mode, you can change information in the invoice. Typically, it's fine just the way it is, but you can optionally change whatever you need to. If you click on the Help, the question mark, it'll give you some details about what you're able to do. But mostly it's pretty obvious. We can change the invoice number, and if we change this, it'll actually find other invoices. We can hide things, so we can hide any of these fields. They won't show up on the delivered invoice. We can edit the customer information. the billing address. We can add a note to the invoice. And we can make changes to the services that have been provided. So we can open the line item table and make changes here. So we can maybe add another service, for example. We can even change the logo. We can hide it, or we can choose a different one by uploading one from your computer. You probably noticed that there's a color widget here. This allows you to choose a background color for the invoice. There's a pull-down menu with a number of built-in colors that you can choose from. And there's also a color wheel. So if you want to choose a unique color, you pull this up and you can play with it, find a color that you like. Click the check button over here, and it will also save that color within the list for future use. So let's go to print mode. I mentioned that we can print, save as a PDF, or email. So let's try it. We'll print the invoice, and first it gives you some instructions on how to do this. But basically, it's just going to pull up the built-in print dialog that your browser has. And your built-in print dialog will look different depending on what browser you have. This is the way mine looks on the left. And you can change things. You can change the orientation. You might be able to change the zoom, and a number of other things. And then you click print, and it'll go off to your printer. If you want to save as a PDF, it's really the same process. The instructions tell you how to do this. Brings up the same print dialog, but somewhere in your print dialog, over here on the left, there should be a change button. And some of the choices appear over here, and I want to save as a PDF. And now when I click save, it'll save it on your computer as a PDF file. To email the invoice, we have two options. We can email it as an attachment or with an embedded link. Let's do the attachment first. To send it, we first have to create the PDF that we attach to the email. To do that, as I showed you, we click Save as PDF. Then in your browser, we save it as a PDF file. Give it a name. I'll just call it email. So I've saved this as a PDF. To email it, I now have to find it. So I've loaded it now. The email composer pops up. The invoice email is already prepared. You can optionally change the email that you send or choose a fancier email that you'd prepared and saved as a template, and then send. The other option is to just send the email with a link to the invoice. This is usually the preferred way of doing it. You typically don't want to send large emails to customers. Attaching an invoice to an email can make it very large. So the preferred way is to click email with link. The customer will receive the email with a link to the invoice. When he clicks that link, it'll download the invoice to his computer from the cloud. Okay, so let's return to the jobs table and look at invoice status. So I click the Go to Jobs, brings me to the Jobs table, and I happen to be on the invoice page of the jobs. Normally what you're looking at the jobs, job tabular view, is all of the job information. When we click Show Invoice Status, it flips over to the Invoice Status view. Same jobs, just a different view. And what this shows us is which jobs have been invoiced and what the status of those invoices are. Let's look at just the invoiced jobs. That's easy to do. If we go to the top of the invoiced column and click on it, it'll sort the table based on whether or not it's been invoiced. So now we have all of the invoiced jobs together, and we can see the status. Some of them are late, some are pending, no balance. So whatever the status is, and it's color-coded. So the procedure for managing invoices is after the job, you select the terms. So it might be end of month, net 7, net 14, cash on delivery. So you choose what the payment terms are, and when you send the invoice, you click send. It'll then record when it was sent, and it'll then be able to calculate the status and keep you apprised of the status of all of your invoices. When you receive payment, click paid. So this is a great way to keep track of all of your invoices. You monitor the status field. You can enter keywords at the top to filter the table so you can see which ones have been paid. You can see which ones are late. You can see which ones were not sent. So it's easy to follow all of the status. The other way, and probably the way that's more useful, is to go to the dashboard and look at the to-do list and recent activity. So we see under the to-do list, we have 1 unsent invoice and 0 pending invoices. And we can open up this table and jump to that job and see what's going on here. Easy to track the status of all of your invoices and jobs. You can also look at the unpaid jobs. So the list of all the unpaid jobs and why they were unpaid and when they were due. The other way to track the invoice status is to use the timeline. Right now it's weekly agenda. If we change that to invoices, we'll see the status of all the invoices. And we can scan down and see all the jobs that were invoiced and what their status is. Invoices can also be created at the job site using the WorkWell mobile app. And we suggest you consult the WorkWell mobile app video series to learn more about that. Okay, so that's it for invoicing. Thanks for viewing our tutorial. And don't forget, we have a lot of other tutorials. And please visit our website at www.workwellsoftware.com. There's a lot of other information, general information, and some detailed information that might help you as well. Thanks so much for your time.